Hey y'all, happy Friday. I recorded 2, 3, however many draft videos, and being the professional editor that I am, somehow fucked up the sound and my voice no longer matches my mouth, and I don't know how to fix it. So we're gonna just do it all over again, and I'm gonna post them in just a minute, and we're gonna be very casual. We're gonna have a beer, and we're gonna talk about draft picks. Okay. I've got some notes here, so y'all let me look at them because I got a lot of information rolling around this brain. I will forget some of it. Okay. I just want to talk to you guys about some draft picks that aren't like top 100 guys that you're going to hear a lot about. Most of these guys we're going to cover have eligibility left. A couple of them don't, and like we'll get into that if they don't. But most of them have eligibility left. They're going to be drafted in the later rounds. These are guys, I use Prospects Live's rankings just because I like them. They actually do 1 through 600, which is like all of the draft pick options. So I used theirs, and I didn't pick anybody who was above like 100, maybe even like 150 on this last round of rankings that they did that came out, I think, on the 6th. So like I said, these are guys that aren't as like touted as other guys that you have probably heard of. These guys you probably don't know unless you just watch college baseball. And they're guys who, like I said, they have eligibility left. So they could go and get drafted, or they could decide to come back and, that's not enough. I want to come back. I want to work a little harder. I want to better my draft stock and see what happens next year. So that's the kind of guys we're talking about today. First up, I want to talk about Jared McKenzie. He kind of burst onto the scene in a very big way in 2020 at Baylor. He led the team with a 406 batting average, and then in 2021 he had like 383 or something like that. His batting average all time Baylor's like 389, and it sets the record for leader at Baylor. So he kind of burst onto the scene in a really big way. He was hitting the fucking shit out of the ball. Then he went to the Cape Cod League last summer of 21, and he didn't have the best summer. The wood bats were not very nice to him. He didn't have a great time. And then when he came back to Baylor in 2022 season, that wasn't great either. He finished the season hitting 288. He was striking out a little over 30% of the time. But we know he's got it in there because we've seen it. He's got the ability to hit to all fields. He puts the ball in play. He had 11 homers last year. So not tons of power, but you're probably going to get like 15 homers out of him, at least. He doesn't walk a ton, so he needs to work on that. He's got to improve his chase rate. That's all stuff that he can work on, though. That's all options. He's slotted at like 119. So who knows what'll happen there. Like I said, he does have eligibility left. His freshman year was 2020. He's got the extra year because of COVID, so he can come back and play a couple more years if he wants to. But that's Jared McKenzie from Baylor, and we'll see what happens with him. Next up is Hayden Dunhurst. Hayden Dunhurst is a world champion catcher with Ole Miss. He's got one of the best catching arms in recent draft history. We're talking like 90-mile-an-hour throws down to second. He's got good blocking skills. He's got good receiving skills. He's got an elite pop time if you care about pop time. Immaculate throws. Very accurate, very fast, like beautiful, beautiful shit. Defensively, there's not much more that you can ask for from Hayden. There's really not. There's a little room for concern with the hitting. He looks to be an average hitter with average power. He probably could be like an everyday catcher, but you probably want a little bit more out of him as far as the hit tool goes. He had a very respectable first couple of years with Ole Miss, but he stalled a little in year 3 this past year. He did have a hamstring injury that he was nursing part of the season. He finished 22 hitting 231 with 6 home runs and 36 walks and 169 ABs. So that's fine. He also, though, racked up a whopping 69 strikeouts in 169 at bats. That's a lot of Ks. That's a lot. You got to work on that. Not only does he have to work on just striking out, because it's not like it's just breaking stuff or off-speed stuff that's getting him. If you just throw a fastball fast enough right down the dick, he can't catch up to it. He can't throw fast, or he can't hit fastballs. velocity. That's the word I'm looking for. He has trouble hitting higher velocity. So that's something he's also going to have to work on. He's listed at like 5'11", 220. So like with a little bit of growing, a little bit of filling out, work on that strike rate, get a little bit more muscle put on him. He could tap into some of that power. I mean, like I said, defensively, it's all there. It's all there. You just got to work on that hook tool a little bit. You just got to work on hitting. He's slotted at like 211 in the latest, I believe. He does have eligibility left, so theoretically, he could decide to return to Ole Miss and try to put together a better season in 2023 and hit the draft again and maybe be drafted higher. I don't really see that happening, but it's an option. It could happen. Nick Maldonado out of Vanderbilt. He is a 6'1", skinny bitty string bean, like 200 pounds, right-handed pitcher out of Vanderbilt. He's primarily pitched in relief thanks to like the billions of arms that are in front of him in Nashville. He has a fastball that sits around 96 and a remarkable slider that tops out at like 88 or something, but it's like 2,900 RPMs, which is good. Now, like I said, Nick has only done relief for the most part. But he's done some long relief. Some team out there might move him into being a starter. Who knows? Either way, he could be a bulk innings guy. Like he's done multiple innings quite often. In 2021, he pitched 50 innings for Vanderbilt and had a 2.31 ERA. The innings and the ERA both led the Vanderbilt bullpen in 2021. Now, 2022, that backed down a little bit. He tallied just under 40 innings. His ERA was closer to 4 than 3, but he's shown enough to prove that he could be an asset to a major league team in a bullpen with a little bit of polishing. Like I said, if some team wants to take him and try and make him a starter, they're welcome to it. He's ranked like 325 in the July 6th prospects ranking. He also does have eligibility left. Moving on, Austin Crabbe. Austin Crabbe was having like a really, 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 really good start to the year, and then he hurt himself, and that sucked. He's a long, lean, left-handed pitcher out of TCU. He moved from the bullpen to the rotation in 2021 and had a ton of success. But like I said, in 2022, he had an injury to his shoulder, I believe. I don't think it was an elbow injury. I'm pretty sure it was his shoulder. So he bounced back and forth between starting and the bullpen in 2022. He throws a ton of strikes. Like, he is going to fill up the strike zone. He pitched 128 and a half innings in his 128 and a third innings in his collegiate career and racked up 156 Ks. We love to see that. He's hit 95 miles an hour on the gun. He has a changeup that I think everybody would like to see more of, see what he can make that into. He, like I said, again, was out like 6 weeks this spring with a shoulder injury. He made 9 appearances after he came back in like late April, but none of those appearances were only one of those appearances was over 2 innings, and he got banged around a little bit. So he maybe just needs a little more time to strengthen up that shoulder, see what happens. He's ranked like 487 in the latest rankings. He has 2 years of eligibility left, so seeing him come back would not be that crazy, simply because he did have such a good 2021. 2022 was kind of injury riddled. He might come back and say, hey, let me get this one more go. So that's what we got. Now, moving on, I got like 4 more guys I want to talk about. This isn't going to be super long. It's just a quick video to talk about some guys that I want you to pay attention to. I'm probably going to do another one tomorrow to kind of fill in the gap of all the shit that I recorded that no longer exists. Marcus Johnson is a tall, lanky pitcher from Duke. He moved from the bullpen to starting this year. He has a fastball around 97, which is very fun to watch. But his starting role, he does kind of work more in like the 94, 95 93 even range, but he can get up to 97. His fastball is good. He's able to throw it for strikes. Sometimes it's a little like too down the dick for it to be any good. He does have trouble missing bats sometimes, but just work on that command a little bit and he'll be fine. He has an above average slider that induces a lot of swing and misses. The fastball and the slider work well together because of that. Teams are going to love the fact that he's got a feel for 3 pitches. He's got a fastball, he's got a slider, and he's got a change. He's 6'6", 200. So talk about a string bean, that's Marcus. He has room to add size and therefore velocity. So, especially since he's touching 97 already, you put 20, 25 pounds of muscle on him, baby, he's going to hit 100 quickly. I have that faith in him, so we'll see. He's like 136 or 146 or something like that in Prospects Live right now. Next, I want to talk about Jim Jarvis. Jim Jarvis is a middle infielder out of the University of Alabama. If I'm talking about an Alabama player, then you know he must be fun to watch because gross. Jim is fun to watch. He's 5'10", 185, so he falls into the short king category. He has top tier plate discipline. It's awesome. His 2-strike approach, he chokes all the way up on the bat. He drops his hand. He puts the ball in play a ton because of this. Because he puts the ball in play a ton, he doesn't have a very high strikeout rate. It's like 15%, I want to say. He also has a 13% walk rate. He's got pretty good bat speed. His defense is also pretty good. He has 6 errors on the season, but he played every single inning of every single game this season. So he was out there a fucking ton. He's got a ways to go before he can be the best hitter he can be. So if somebody, he's already good. So somebody puts in a little work with him, and it's going to be awesome. He's like 300 in Prospects Live's ranking, so like the dead-ass middle of the draft. We'll see what happens with him. He does have eligibility left, so he can come back if he wants. Next up, Tristan Stevens. Tristan Stevens has no eligibility left. He is a battle-tested arm. He's been to Omaha numerous times with Texas. He has probably my favorite sinker of the entire draft. He's 6'2", but he has like a crazy high release point. So the drop on his pitches is fucking wild. He's got a slider and a changeup, which evens out to like a 4-pitch mix. He's been primarily a reliever, but he did get into the rotation in 2021. He did decent. He actually had really good, I say decent, he actually had a really good 2021. 2022, he was in the rotation for part of the year, and then in the bullpen down the stretch, he did a very good job for them. He pitched in supers at ECU. He had a phenomenal outing like in that rain delay game. He was absolutely beautiful. So, he wasn't selected in the draft last year. He was eligible. He was not selected. He came back. He probably didn't have as good of a year in 2022 as he did 2021, and he wasn't selected, so we'll see. But he is a solid, battle-tested, low-risk, higher-reward player that somebody could take late in the draft, and it's low risk for them, and he doesn't have anything else to do. He can't come back and play, so if they draft him, he's probably going to go because he wants to keep playing baseball. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of low risk for both, because if he doesn't take it, then he's just not playing anymore. The last guy I want to talk about is Drew Compton. Drew Compton is the first baseman from Georgia Tech. He's like 6'2". He's a switch hitter. He's got some pop in his bat. He's able to hit to all fields. In 2022, we saw him decrease the number of strikeouts while increasing the number of walks. Who doesn't love that? Everybody loves an on-base machine. He also improved his power a little bit. He finished the season with 14 home runs, which was the highest of his career at Georgia Tech. I want to say he did like 9 and then like 11 and now like 14 or something. So he's getting a little bit better each year. And he also did this in one of the most potent offensive lineups in the country at Georgia Tech. So he's also really good. These are just like, how many did I go through? 7, 8 guys, I think, that I think are really good. They could be really solid additions to teams. A lot of these guys are lower risk. These are guys that are probably going in, some of them maybe the second round, most of them like third, fourth, blah, 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 way on down there. Who knows? Like I said, I'll probably do one more of these tomorrow. But for now, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. And the draft starts on Sunday night. You can watch the first round, and then the rest goes on Monday and Tuesday, but you can keep up with it either way. And I will see you guys tomorrow, probably.